War is a terrible thing. It's bloody. People die every single day. But we still do it. And why? I think people secretly love war. And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about something more serious. Video game console wars.
DKOldies.
Hi, I'm your host, Drew Steimel. This is the DKOldies video game show. The DKOldies.com is a video game store where we sell thousands of retro video games from Atari to Xbox. We specialize in Nintendo NES, and now we're doing a show. We don't know why, but here we are. And I want to introduce you to my sidekick, my friend, Anthony Leach. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm doing great. Glad to be on the show.
Console wars are when a bunch of gamers get around and start crying and whining at each other. They say, my system that I went out and bought is the very best. And if you guys go out and buy another system, well, that system sucks. Anthony, were you ever involved in any kind of console war?
Console wars, yeah. Me and my brother growing up, I was a Genesis guy, he was an NES guy, and we butt heads all the time. We both loved we loved both consoles, but you know.
You were a Genesis guy.
I am a Genesis guy.
And he was a Nintendo guy.
He was a Nintendo guy.
Console wars, I think, got very serious when the original Xbox came out. And it challenged the PlayStation, and it challenged the GameCube. I went out, all three. My friends were all Nintendo guys. They all got GameCube. And I went out and I bought the Xbox, the original Xbox. It had a hard drive. It had Halo. I thought it was cool. And I got it. And I went to see my friends. I'm like, hey, guys, I got the Xbox.
Check this out.
And they're just like, the Xbox sucks. And you suck. And we hate you. And I'm like, holy crap. Right? Does this ever happen to you? Anything
not
like
to
this?
that extent.
Yeah, it
I
happens.
was young when this was going on.
That's why they're so silly, I think. I think people are so crazy about their consoles and whatewe just want to be friends.
Yeah, we want to be friends, play games together. People take this thing way too seriously. It's video games. It's a game.
And I think that us being we're more of retro guys, that these new consoles coming out and you hear all these people saying, oh, I like my Xbox, Sony sucks, or I like Sony and my Xbox sucks. I think us being retro video game guys, we can take a step back and look how silly these people are.
Yeah.
Right?
Then again, our era, we were kind of doing the same thing. Not necessarily me, but just like you with your GameCube friends and your Xbox situation.
Well, Anthony, like, what's your favorite console right now?
My favorite console right now is actually...
Like, what console are you playing right now, and what's your favorite one?
NES lately.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Which I feel like I'm going against the Genesis, but...
Well, it's funny right now because I'm playing the Genesis right now.
Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I took the Genesis home. I'm going through all, like, my old favorite games and stuff like that, and, I mean, I'm a little concerned. I thought you played the Genesis.
I do.
And I thought that, you know...
We kind of swapped shoes
all of a sudden, now you're playing the Nintendo, and I'm playing the Genesis.
Yeah. Well, we're civil people. So, it's not like we're going to battle over this.
No, I mean...
We can.
I'm not going to battle over it. That's silly. I mean, but clearly, I mean, as you get older, you start to realize that the Genesis is so much better than the Nintendo. I mean, the Nintendo was a good system back then in the 80s, but the system I'm playing right now is the Genesis, and it's clearly a better system. I think if you were smarter, you know, you would learn that the Genesis is what you probably should be playing now into your, you're in your 20s now.
Mm-hmm.
You should have let go of the Nintendo, and you should be playing the Genesis.
I do agree with that, if you want to slowly upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing, like, real-time strategy games, Anthony, and I'm playing really complex games that are probably not as good for you, that when you're playing the Nintendo, you're playing the silly platformers, and you're playing Kirby and things like that. I mean, it's just embarrassing when you do that kind of thing, and I just think it's ridiculous. But I mean, I guess we'll just end this segment of console wars saying that the Genesis is superior to the Nintendo in every single way, and it might be fun when you're a kid, but you know, your system sucks and my system's so much better.
You're trying to get me to say that NES is better than Genesis, and it's not happening. Who knows what happened? I'm catching on to you now.
All right, let's do our featured game here at DK Oldies. Every single week we like to do a featured game. we're gonna stay within the confines of the console wars, and I thought we would do a game that was on the Nintendo and a game that was on the Genesis.
Yeah.
We will keep this Genesis Nintendo theme rolling. What do you think of Castlevania? And have you ever played it?
I have played it once. I was never a huge fan of Castlevania. I think it was a little chaotic with the whip and everything, and a little inaccurate. But
did you ever see the Genesis version?
I haven't seen the Genesis version. I would think that it's better.
I think what happened was exactly what I talked about earlier, where Nintendo comes out with Castlevania. They make Castlevania 1, which is so highly detailed for the time, and you go through, and it's an action-oriented game with many puzzle aspects. And then Castlevania 2 takes it to a whole nother level. They go more hardcore. You have to talk to villagers. You have to get to areas where you need certain spells, and you have to use it with your whip, and you have to upgrade your whip. And then Castlevania 3, they go back, and they basically take Castlevania 1. They learn from their mistakes of Castlevania 2. Don't go too hardcore, but keep all the upgrading and the better graphics, and they just mastered it with Castlevania 3. Now, the Genesis, what they did is they were like, oh, there's a guy, and he's got a whip. Let's just do a bigger whip, better graphics, and let's let him run and jump farther, and add some more characters.
That's awesome. That's what Genesis does, baby.
It's kind of like what they did with Sonic, where they just like, oh, you got awesome Mario game, it's so complex, let's just make a blue hedgehog run across the screen and grab some coins.
Well, maybe it didn't get as huge as NES, and NES did blow it out of the water, but still, they were trying something new, and that was cool.
You know what I hated about all the Castlevanias?
What?
NES and Genesis.
Yeah? What?
Was where if you were running down the corridor, and then you came across, and then there's a ladder that goes up the other way, you can't jump onto the ladder and then run up. You have to actually run across
Occasionally,
and then
that
run
would be
back up.
one of the most complicated things in an NES game.
It
Especially
destroys
when
it.
you're going back and forth, like kind of the opposite diagonal, then you would have to be in the perfect position to go back up to get up those steps.
Yeah, it's
So that was
I want
always
to
a
jump.
complaint.
I would always jump through the stairs just
Yeah.
in defiance.
for an hour straight. It'll happen.
But that's what I hated, and I do think the Castlevanias on NES are so much better than the one on Genesis. I think the Genesis is a very good, simple type of game for a simple type of player. But the
I disagree, but go on.
the NES games are just brilliant. All kidding aside, I think the Castlevania Bloodlines is an awesome. It's a different type of game. It really encompasses the Genesis with the great graphics and the awesome, more arcadey style great gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that was some good games.
I would imagine that they took out that annoying stare thing.
They never did.
In Genesis, they
Never
kept it.
No, they're making games for the Xbox One where you can't. No, I don't know.
Let's hope not.
All right, let's take a look at Rich's unusual item of the week. Rich?
Hi, Drew.
Hey, Rich. What do you have this week for the viewers to see? You have something supposed to be so rare and so crazy and so cool. I'm so excited to see it. What do you have?
Well, you said weird, not cool, so I picked out some weird. I was focusing on the controllers today, and you asked me to pick out one thing, but I chose two. So number one is the motion-sensitive controller for the NES, and this uses a gyroscope. So instead of using a D-pad, you would go forward like this to go forward, backwards,
There's
sideways.
a gyroscope in there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We actually had a customer buy it for their handicap son, so it's an interesting look on a controller.
Let me see this. Port down here for the NES controller, and then we have you got your A button. It looks like
You can switch that. That's the switch, the A and B.
It looks like a flight stick.
Yeah, it is sort of like a flight stick. Stick, and then
So there's a cord that,
I took that off.
and then I
You
just
plug it in. Yep. Instead of using the D-pad, you would lean it forward, back, and to the side. It's pretty interesting.
I like this.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like this. It has a little.
We've only seen
up
two
here.
of those.
Really?
Yeah, I mean since I've gotten here. And then number two,
Do we have this for sale on the website?
we do. Yeah, it's in stock.
That's great. Okay.
Number two is the controller that you freeze. You put this in your freezer and freeze it to keep your hands cool.
Now, this is why people hate Sony. So go ahead.
So I've seen this before with a fan. You keep your hand, when you're playing for a long time, your hands get sweaty. They might get a little warm. But I don't think I've seen this with a cooling liquid in there that you actually put into the freezer to freeze.
So this is a controller. Let me see this controller.
This is by Dream Gear.
So this is a controller that it has blue liquid in it. You put it in your freezer.
Yeah.
You freeze it, and then you play.
It keeps your hands cool.
Can you drink it?
You could try. I won't stop you.
I don't think you can drink this, but it would be kind of cool if you could. Like,
we don't recommend
if you could put like Mountain Dew into your controller, and then you could just drink it out while you're playing.
Yeah.
Like a slushy.
We'll pitch that to Dream Gear.
Well, that's pretty cool, Rich. So we got two items for your weird item of the day. We got the liquid Sony PlayStation controller. This is a PS1.
PS1, yeah.
This is a PS1 controller. It looks like it has the titles. This is a PS2 controller.
Or maybe
Rich.
it is, yeah.
So this is why Microsoft and Nintendo people hate Sony, because they do weird stuff like this. It's like they have so much. They have guys everywhere just inventing stuff, and they're just like, put some liquid in a controller, and then you'll be fine.
Boom.
So here we go.
The motion sensitive gyroscope controller for the NES.
It's kind of like what we did here, Rich. Is Nintendo invents crazy, futuristic, innovative things. I mean, this was back in the 80s. They're making a controller that you can it has gyroscopes in it. And now you go to the future, PS2, they're putting just blue liquid in so you can freeze it.
That's the future.
That's the future.
Yeah.
All right, great. DKOldies.com/sellyourgames. Every single week, we get all kinds of massive stuff in. Before, we have only shown you just a few things that come in. Some rare games every now and then. This week, we decided to show you everything that came in this week from our Sell Your Games. We're showing you all the tables, all the games. There's hundreds of games from every kind of system. Why don't you check it out now? That was a great show, Anthony. We're all done here. That was a great show.
Solid.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think Genesis is better than NES, but
That's what I said earlier. I think, you know what, I think I said Genesis is better than NES, and then I said NES is better than Genesis, and then I went back.
I think you're trying to get me to a point that I don't want to be.
I like to toy with you. I like to
You
toy
do,
with your
all
emotions.
day long.
That's what I like to do. So, what was your what did you think of Rich's unusual item?
I thought they were cool.
Did you?
You know.
What were they?
I was not in here. I'm completely lying.
Oh, that's
Funny,
great.
Drew. What did you think of them?
You know what? Today we're using more enhanced technology and cameras, and I love it. We also got some DK Oldies t-shirts. DK Oldies has been in business over 10 years, starting from just a tiny little company up in my little tiny bedroom, and just selling a few games here and there to this massive thing that we have here. And I've never made t-shirts.
Yeah.
You ever have a business or see someone who has a business and all of a sudden they like their whole car is decorated and they're giving out business
Bumper
cards and they've
sticker.
got t-shirts? You know that they're going to be out of business real soon.
Yes.
I don't spend any money on anything except for I'm starting to spend money on this podcast only because I need it to be better.
You want it really bad, don't you? We all
I
do.
just want it to be better. That's all.
P.S. These shirts are on the website, right?
Yeah, they're on the website, but don't buy them. We are selling them, but if you go on Facebook, we're giving them away for free if you do stupid things. You jump through some stupid hoops, you show a picture of yourself or your girlfriend, and then we'll give you a free t-shirt.
None of those three things, though.
Yeah.
But,
So what we want you to do is, what do we want, Anthony?
You got it.
DK Oldies wants to know. I want to know. Anthony wants to know. What's your favorite console? All right, and what console do you hate? Post that on our comments below, please. And please like us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really love followers. We talk to you all the time. If you post a comment, we're going to talk to you. And visit our website. We have all kinds of retro video games. You need anything, let us know. We'll see you next Friday. Go play some old games.
Later.
DKOldies.
Cool. That's a podcast.
Yeah. Good job, dude.